Baseball may be America's pastime, but behind the home runs and highlight reels are players who've sparked some of the sport's biggest scandals.
But I was told a lifetime ban is what they absolutely would fight, not necessarily a suspension.
Heated debates.
Then you're talking about a big suspension.
And full-on brawls.
And the benches have emptied.
From Hall of Famers denied their place in Cooperstown to rising stars who fell from grace overnight.
Baseball's biggest star, Shohei Ohtani, speaking for the first time about the theft and gambling allegations.
Today, we're breaking down 12 of the most controversial MLB players. Alex Rodriguez was destined for baseball immortality. A 3-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, World Series champion, and one of the most talented players the game had ever seen. Twice he signed what was at the time the richest contract in sports history. But A-Rod's legacy took a massive hit in 2009 when he admitted to using steroids from 2001 to 2003 while with the Texas Rangers, claiming the pressure to perform after his record contract pushed him to cheat. The bigger blow came in 2013 with the biogenesis scandal, where he was linked to a clinic that supplied PEDs to several MLB players. Even though he never failed a drug test, MLB's investigation led to an unprecedented 211-game suspension, later reduced, which caused him to miss the entire 2014 season. Rodriguez returned in 2015, reached the 3,000-hit milestone, and retired in 2016 with 696 home runs, fourth most all-time. Since then, he's rebuilt his public image as a broadcaster and businessman, but the PED cloud continues to hang over his Hall of Fame chances. Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is statistically one of the greatest players to ever step on a baseball field. He holds the MLB records for most career home runs at 762 and most in a single season with 73, along with 7 MVP awards, 14 All-Star appearances, and 8 Gold Gloves. But despite his historic achievements, Bonds' legacy is forever tied to baseball's steroid era. At the center of the Balco scandal in the early 2000s, Bonds was accused of knowingly using performance-enhancing drugs, allegations he has always denied, claiming he thought the substances were flaxseed oil and arthritis cream. In 2007, he was indicted for perjury and obstruction of justice for allegedly lying to a grand jury. And while he was initially convicted of obstruction, the ruling was later overturned. Bonds never failed a drug test, yet the cloud of suspicion kept him out of the Hall of Fame, with his vote percentage never reaching the 75% threshold. For many fans, he remains both a statistical legend and one of the most controversial figures in baseball history. Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer went from being one of baseball's most dominant pitchers to one of its most polarizing figures almost overnight. After stints with the Diamondbacks, Indians, and Reds, he won the 2020 National League Cy Young Award and signed a record-breaking 3-year, $102 million contract with the Dodgers in 2021. But just months later, allegations of sexual assault emerged, with multiple women accusing him of violent encounters. Prosecutors declined to press criminal charges in 2022, but MLB conducted its own investigation and handed down a massive 324-game suspension, the longest ever under its domestic violence policy. Bauer fought back through lawsuits, and one accuser was later arrested for defrauding him. But the Dodgers cut ties in early 2023. Since then, he's pitched in Japan and Mexico, but despite being eligible to return, no MLB team has been willing to take the PR risk of signing him. For a pitcher once at the peak of the sport, it's been a stunning fall from grace. Manny Machado. Manny Machado is one of the most talented infielders of his generation, a multiple-time All-Star and Gold Glove winner who signed a massive 10-year, $300 million contract with the San Diego Padres in 2019. But along with his elite skill set, Machado has carried a reputation for questionable on-field behavior. In 2014, tempers flared when he flung his bat toward third base after a dust-up with pitcher Fernando Abad, earning a 5-game suspension. 3 years later, he slid late into Dustin Pedroia at second base, injuring the Red Sox star's knee and sparking bad blood between the teams. His most infamous incident came during the 2018 National League Championship Series with the Dodgers, when he clipped Brewers first baseman Jesus Aguilar's ankle while running to first. Milwaukee's Christian Yelich didn't hold back, calling it a dirty play by a dirty player. Since joining the Padres, Machado has embraced a leadership role and mostly avoided new controversies, but among certain fan bases, that dirty player label still sticks. Albert Bell. Albert Bell was one of the most feared hitters of the 1990s, a five-time All-Star who became the only player in MLB history to hit 50 home runs and 50 doubles in the same season. But as dominant as he was at the plate, his fiery temper often stole the headlines. Bell had a notoriously hostile relationship with the media, once chasing reporter Hannah Storm out of the clubhouse, and wasn't shy about clashing with fans, even throwing a ball at a heckler in the stands. In 1994, he was caught using a corked bat, sparking the bizarre incident where teammate Jason Grimsley literally crawled through ceiling tiles to swap it out. Bell also made waves with his ultra-aggressive base running, most famously bulldozing Fernando Vigna to break up a double play. Despite a career 295 average, 381 home runs, and 1,239 RBIs, Bell lasted just 2 years on the Hall of Fame ballot. For many voters, his volatile behavior overshadowed his incredible production, cementing his place as one of baseball's most controversial stars. Chase Utley. Chase Utley was the heart and soul of the Phillies during their late 2000s dominance, a six-time All-Star second baseman who combined power, defense, and grit to help lead Philadelphia to the 2008 World Series title. But his aggressive style of play, especially on the base paths, made him one of the league's most polarizing figures. Utley had a reputation for hard takeout slides, and his most infamous moment came in the 2015 NLDS as a member of the Dodgers. In Game 2 against the Mets, Utley's late slide into second base took out shortstop Ruben Tejada, breaking Tejada's fibula and igniting outrage from fans and players alike. The incident led directly to MLB introducing the Chase Utley rule, which requires runners to make a bona fide slide into the bag rather than deviating into a fielder. While his career WWAR and postseason success make for a strong Hall of Fame case, for many, that brutal slide will always be the first thing they remember. Pete Rose. Pete Rose is one of the greatest hitters the game has ever seen, holding the all-time MLB record with 4,256 hits over a remarkable 24-year career. A 17-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, and the 1973 NL MVP, Rose's accomplishments on the field were unmatched. But in 1989, his legendary career came crashing down when an investigation revealed he had bet on baseball games while managing the Cincinnati Reds, including on his own team. Rose denied the allegations for years before finally admitting in his 2004 autobiography that it was true. The punishment was severe, a lifetime ban from the sport, which also made him ineligible for the Hall of Fame. Multiple appeals for reinstatement were denied, and Rose himself once said he believed he'd only be inducted after his death. When he passed away in September 2024, it became almost certain that baseball's all-time hits leader would never have his name enshrined in Cooperstown. Wander Franco. Wander Franco was supposed to be the next face of Major League Baseball. Signed by the Tampa Bay Rays at just 16 years old, he flew through the minors and made his MLB debut at 20, instantly living up to the hype. By 2023, he had already signed an 11-year, $182 million contract extension and earned his first All-Star selection. But in August of that year, his meteoric rise came to a screeching halt when allegations surfaced online, claiming he was in a relationship with a minor. By December, prosecutors in the Dominican Republic formally charged Franco, accusing him of involvement with a 14-year-old girl. He was placed under house arrest as the legal process began and was put on MLB's restricted list, effectively ending his season. The Rays quickly distanced themselves, and while Franco's talent once promised a Hall of Fame caliber career, his future in the league is now in serious doubt, regardless of how the case ultimately plays out. Yordano Ventura. Yordano Ventura was one of the most electric young pitchers in baseball, known for his blazing fastball that regularly hit triple digits and his fearless attitude on the mound. A key piece of the Kansas City Royals' 2015 World Series championship team, Ventura's talent was undeniable, but so was his temper. In 2015 alone, he was involved in multiple benches-clearing incidents. He exchanged words with Mike Trout that escalated into both teams spilling onto the field, drilled Brett Laurie in retaliation for a hard slide, and got into a shouting match with Adam Eaton that led to a 4-minute brawl. Later that year, he hit Manny Machado, sparking yet another fight and a suspension. While fans admired his fire, critics felt his emotions often got the better of him. Tragically, Ventura's life and career were cut short in January 2017 when he died in a car accident in the Dominican Republic at just 25 years old, leaving behind the question of what could have been. Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran has quickly made a name for himself as one of the Red Sox's brightest young stars. In 2024, he had a breakout season, hitting .285 with an impressive 130 OPS plus and earning his first All-Star selection. He even took home the All-Star Game MVP after launching a clutch two-run homer that sealed the win. But despite his on-field success, Duran stirred controversy during that same season. In a heated moment against the Houston Astros, he was caught on camera using a homophobic slur toward a heckling fan. MLB suspended him for 2 games, and while Duran immediately issued a public apology, the incident left a lasting mark on his reputation. Known for his competitiveness and fiery personality, he's had a few other tense on-field confrontations. While he's far from one of baseball's biggest villains, his polarizing nature has already made him a player fans either love or love to hate. John Rocker. John Rocker's time in Major League Baseball was short but unforgettable, and not for the reasons most athletes hope. As the Atlanta Braves' hard-throwing closer in the late 90s, Rocker was known for his fiery personality on the mound. But in 1999, his career took a nosedive after a Sports Illustrated interview where he unleashed a shocking tirade filled with racist, homophobic, and xenophobic remarks, particularly aimed at the city of New York and its residents. The backlash was immediate and intense. MLB responded by suspending him for 73 games and fining him $20,000, though the suspension was later reduced to 14 games. When Rocker returned, he was met with relentless boos in every ballpark, especially in New York, and his performance steadily declined under the pressure. By 2003, he was out of the league entirely, remembered less for his 88 career saves and more for one of the most infamous interviews in sports history. Jorge Lopez. Jorge Lopez has been in the majors for a decade, carving out a reputation as a reliable arm, but also as someone with a quick temper. His most infamous moment came in 2024 when he was playing for the Mets. After getting ejected for arguing with umpires, Lopez gave a post-game interview where he called the Mets the worst team in the whole effing MLB. The comment went viral instantly, and while he later claimed he meant to say he was the worst teammate in the MLB, the damage was done. The Mets designated him for assignment the very next day. Just when things seemed to cool down, Lopez found himself in hot water again in 2025. In a game against the Pirates, he hit Brian Reynolds with a pitch, and on the very next batter, intentionally threw at Andrew McCutchen. Benches cleared, tempers flared, and Lopez was suspended and fined. While his pitching skills still get him roster spots, his ability to stir controversy has become almost as notable as his ERA. From Hall of Fame snubs to career-ending scandals, these players prove that controversy can follow you, no matter how much talent you have. If you thought this list was wild, check out our breakdown of the 10 most unguardable NFL players ever to see which football legends drove defenses crazy.